Peace everyone, and welcome back to Quality Astrocartography. I'm your host Q, the astrologist, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you guys about the Venus conjunct Midheaven line, my experience on my Venus conjunct Midheaven line. But first and foremost, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out my website for a reading, whether it be a natal chart reading or an astrocartography reading. That website is qualityastro.com. All the information on how to get in contact with me is down in the description box below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about this Venus conjunct Midheaven line, because Venus is actually one of the most popular, I want to say, acts that I get when I have astrocartography clients reach out to me. Everyone wants to know, where can I go to find love, Q? Where am I going to meet my partner necessarily, right? So we're going to talk about the Venus line first. We're going to give you a general overview, just like we've done with all the other lines that I've discussed when I talked about my own experience. And then I'm going to give you some particulars about the Venus conjunct Midheaven line via my notes. And then I'm going to tell you guys what my experience was like on my Venus conjunct Midheaven line. So let's start with the Venus line in astrocartography. So the Venus line in astrocartography is where you find love and self-love, maybe even perhaps as well, depending on which angular position you go to. It's where you'll find your creativity, and it's also where you could make money. Lots of it, right? Of course, depending on which angular position you are going to, and of course, how your Venus planet, how your Venus placement is aspected in your natal chart. It's very, very important to understand that. So the idea of this Venus zone is to emphasize pleasure and enjoyment and love and an abundance of romance as well. And this zone is very, very congenial for women more than it is for men. Men tend to do much better on the Mars line than they do on the Venus line. Venus, of course, rules Libra and it rules Taurus. Okay, so Venus, Libra, Venus, Taurus, you're going to get both of these, the 7th house and the 2nd house, wrapped into this particular line. You're going to get romance, you're going to get money as well. All right. So for women, when you come to this particular line, what you accumulate materially can grow, of course, depending on how your Venus placement is being aspected in your natal chart. And Venus also this line can also make you feel beautiful and appear beautiful to the opposite sex as well. So that's really amazing. This is why this is one of the most popular lines for women, and it tends to be the most successful line for women as well in terms of self-love, beautification, and also appearing attractive to the opposite sex. Now for men, this zone can present some problems for men because men are not socialized like women are socialized, or men are not raised like women as young boys and young girls. So this particular line could be a little bit more challenging for a man who has a lot of masculine energy. Us as men and women, we have both divine masculine and divine feminine energy. So if a man is more so in his masculine energy and neglecting his feminine energy, he's going to have more of a difficult time on the Venus line. So this Venus line will make him feel the concepts of love and harmony and peace and love and all these things that men typically are not really into from a societal standpoint. And the way that they're socialized, it's not about love and harmony. It's about the masculine energy, Mars energy, taking action, being in authority, that kind of thing. Okay, so even though there are going to be struggles for men, there are going to be ample opportunities for men to find love and romance, just like it is for women. Okay, so there's no shortchange there for men on this particular line when it comes to the abundance of love and money as well. However, it is critical here for the male to accept the beauty that lies within him and the beauty that is also surrounding him as well. So to pretty much open up to the divine feminine energy within himself. And if he does that, he will have an amazing time on this particular line. So let's go on into the Venus conjunct midheaven line. I'm going to tell you about my experience on the Venus conjunct midheaven line, and also kind of give you guys some particulars on the Venus conjunct midheaven line as well. So I visited my Venus conjunct midheaven line back in 2014. My Venus conjunct midheaven line does exist in the far eastern portions of California and Las Vegas. So I actually went to Las Vegas in 2014 with two friends of mine, and I met someone. I met a guy there, right? So Venus conjunct midheaven. Now this line, I always used to teach on Clubhouse that this line is like meeting a man as a woman who has a lot of money, because the midheaven is associated with Saturn, 10th house, legacy energy. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is an earth sign that tends to be more business-like. Although it is a feminine sign, it does tend to be more business-like. It's all about the career and being powerful and taking action in career and having their money together and being very practical and organized, having a lot of things, maybe, investments and stuff like that. So the Venus conjunct midheaven line, it kind of infuses the Saturn energy, Capricorn energy, with the Venus energy and Libra and Taurus energy, okay? So Venus conjunct the midheaven is where a woman, if she's looking for love, she could marry someone who has money on this particular line. Venus conjunct midheaven, Venus sextile midheaven, Venus trine midheaven, okay? This is what I always used to say. So Venus on this line definitely corresponds to the 10th house of career. The midheaven is the 10th house of career and social status. And so a woman could be identified in society by being with a man who is well off, a man who has a lot of money, a man who has a lot of possessions. He may be a CEO, he may be a businessman, he may be a lawyer, whatever the case may be, okay? So this is also a line where finances and investments tend to be more advantageous, and you tend to see more progress in your investments, okay? And you tend to acquire more assets, cars, right? Good food, good wine. That's the Taurus side of Venus, right? And as a woman, you might meet someone who can provide these things for you, right? Because the midheaven symbolizes the man and Venus symbolizes the woman in this particular example. Now for men, if a man was to go to his Venus conjunct midheaven line, Venus trine midheaven line, Venus sextile midheaven line, he might be on the other side of things where he is the one making a lot of money and just really attractive. Because he's making so much money, he's able to pour that money into himself, invest in new clothes, get his, his hair cut and beard trimmed up and all these beautiful things, just make himself really beautiful, get his pedicure, his manicure, all these things, right? Now for the woman on the flip side, she might meet a man who can provide those things for her, get her hair done twice, twice a month, get her nails done every 2 weeks, get her feet done every 2 weeks. Basically, Venus conjunct the midheaven, you'll meet a man who is well off. He may be even older as well, because Saturn represents that older and wiser and responsible type of energy, right? So the Venus conjunct midheaven line, a woman could meet someone who is older than her or someone who comes off that way. For a male, he may come off older. He may come off more wise, because that Saturn energy is activated within him, within his career, and within how he's carrying himself. So back to my story. For me, I met a man. I can't remember how long into my trip I met this man, but I actually met a guy. Me and my friends went to a pool party. Again, this is 2014. This is years ago. We went to a pool party, and I met a man, an older man, much older than me. I think he might have been in his 50s, and I was in my 20s at the time, right? And I met him at the pool party, and then he invited me and my friends to this party at night, to this club, and he was going to have a table there and bottle service and all these things. And at the pool, he had a cabana, you know, like you rent out a cabana and you have these drinks and stuff like that. So invited us over there for that. And then later on, invited us out for that night. So we went out that night and we had a great time. I ended up exchanging numbers with him at the pool party, of course, to meet up with him later on at the club. And we had a really good time. And then come to find out, he was actually from my hometown, Washington, D.C. So we actually stayed in touch after Vegas. And then after that, he actually invited me to this 5-star resort. I want to say maybe a week or two or a couple weeks. I can't remember. It was so long ago. A couple of weeks, I believe, after, you know, everyone returning back home from Vegas, he asked me to go to a 5-star resort, you know, everything paid for, all that stuff. And I had a really good time. He provided, you know, anything that I wanted on that trip, you know, from, you know, really amazing meals and spa treatments and you know, everything was really, really lovely. Everything was really, really great. He was a complete gentleman. I have no bad things to say about him. And yeah, so definitely me being on my Venus conjunct Midheaven line brought me in contact with an older gentleman who has money and who was well off and was very chivalrous and very kind and very nice. And I literally was only in Vegas before meeting him for maybe a couple days. I don't have my chart in front of me right now. My computer is on sleep right now. But I'm pretty sure that in Vegas, I'm pretty darn close to my Venus conjunct Midheaven line. I want to say within 100 kilometers. So between 0 to 100 kilometers, that's where I am in Vegas, very close. So again, like I always say, the closer you are to these power lines, the more intense and prominent the energy will be, the more heightened the energy will be. The further you are in distance from the line, the likelihood that this place will not really stimulate or activate that energy, but you get closer to that line, it's going to really heighten things for you. All right, so yeah, guys, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That was my experience on my Venus conjunct Midheaven line. Be sure, guys, to check down in the description box on ways to contact me for your next astrocartography or astrology reading. Until next time, guys, peace.